This code is an example of a simple web page that looks similar to Pinterest. It is written in HTML and CSS, and every part of the code has a clear purpose. Let's go step by step and explain what each part does, and also what is it important. At the very top we see the line desktop HTML. This line tells the browser that we are using HTML5, which is modern standard for creating web pages. Without this line, the browser might not interpret the code correctly. Next, we open the HTML tag and set the language to English. This is useful not only for the browser but also for accessibility tools like screen readers. Inside the head section we find some very important meta information. For example, meta charged UTF-8 sets the character encoding in UTF-8. That means the page can display any language, including Russian or English, without problems. Then we have meta name viewport, content width, device width, initial scale. This makes sure that the page works well on different devices, especially on phones, by controlling how the page is called. There are also a title tag which defines the text that will appear in the browser tab. Still inside the head we see a style block. This is where all the CSS rules written. CSS is responsible for the design, layout, and appearance of the page. The first rule for the body removes the default margin, sets the font to sans serif, makes the background white, and then defines a grid layout. The grid has 2 columns, one narrow column and 70 pixels for the sidebar, and one flexible column for the main content. This is how the structure of the page is defined. Now let's talk about the sidebar. The sidebar is created using the SE tag with the class sidebar. The CSS makes the background white, adds a thin gray border to separate it from the main content and centers the image. Inside the sidebar we have an image tag. The width is limited to 14 pixels so that the image looks small and clean. This sidebar is meant to look like the Pinterest navigation area where you usually see icons for home, notification, or profile. On the right side we have the div content. This part is displayed as a flexbox column. At the top of the content there is a header with the class topbar. The topbar has padding, a white background, and a border at the bottom. Inside it we see an input element of type text. This is the search bar. It has padding, a border, and rounded corners, so it looks modern. Flexbox makes sure the input extends to take up the available space. The top bar is similar to Pinterest search bar. Below the top bar we have the main class gallery. This is where all the images are displayed. The gallery uses CSS multi-columns with 6 columns in total. The column gap property adds spacing between the columns. Inside the gallery, every image is placed inside the div class card. Each card is styled with a white background, rounded corners, and a subtle shadow to make it stand out. The property overflow hidden ensures that if the image is larger than the card, the extra part will not streak out. The card is also position relative, which is very important because it allows us to place the save button on top of the image. Inside each card there are two elements, an image tag and a button tag with the class save btn. The image takes up 100% of the card width, keeping in accept ratio. The object fit cover rule makes sure the image looks nice by cropping if necessary without stretching. Now let's look at the save button. It is absolutely positions in the top right corner of the card with the red background and white text. The button has padding, rounding corners and a bold text to make it look clickable. At first the button is hidden because its opacity is set to 0. But thanks to the CSS transition, when we hover over the card, the button smoothly fades in. This is a very nice interactive effect, and it is exactly that Pinterest does. The save option appears only when you hover an image. Altogether, this code creates a clean, functional, Pinterest-like interface. The sidebar with the image simulates the navigation menu. The top bar provides a search input, and the gallery shows multiple images arranged in 6 neat columns. Each image card has a hidden save button that appears on hover, making the page feel interactive and modern. This project is also a good example of combining different CSS techniques: grid for the page structure, flagbox for the top bar, and multi-columns for the image gallery. On top of that, absolute positioning and hover effects are used for the save button. In real projects, these same techniques can be applied to build professional layouts. So in summary, the HTML defines the structure, dividing the page into sidebar, top bar, and the gallery. The CSS defines the design, making sure everything is aligned, styled, and interactive. The result is a small but powerful example of how modern web pages are created and how we can recreate the behavior of famous sites like Pinterest.